Hey, it's America's Supermom. Thank you for joining me on my podcast. This series is the Chronicles. I created this so that we would have an outlet of positivity in the midst of a lot of negativity. You know what I'm talking about. All the news, the fear around this virus, how it can affect us, what the new normal is looking like, and how so many things have changed that a lot of people feel like um, it is the end of the world, so to speak. So, this podcast was created so that those of us who have hope, who are willing to move forward with this new normal and innovate new things that will help us to be creative and positive. That is what this platform is for us to come together and share that positivity and that light with those who may need it. So if you're interested in sharing your insight, please reach out because we can never have enough positive news. So sit back and enjoy the show. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I'm really excited about my next guest, Kimberly Day. We actually met organically through the team. We are actually referral, we're connected through this referral networking program, and really excited to get to know her better. We were able to do a Zoom call, just kind of swap notes on what it is that we do for the industries that we're in, and just really had a great connection. So I'm really excited to have her here today to share some of her insight, especially like how a book can propel your business forward, especially during a time like this. So at this time, I'm going to give Kimberly the opportunity to introduce herself before we get into the interview.
Well, thanks for having me, Lachelle. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I'm so glad we could connect.
I know. So yeah, I guess a little bit about me, if you're listening. For 13 years, I was a financial advisor. So I was one of usually a dozen at every networking event that I would go to. Just like realtors and mortgage brokers, financial advisors were a dime a dozen. And one of the things I struggled with on a regular basis was attracting clients and competing against all of the other advisors in the room. So what I did in 2017 was I actually wrote my first book. It was called The Financial Fitness Playbook, The Ultimate Guide to Winning the Money Game. And when I wrote that book, everything changed. My entire business turned around, and in less than 12 months, I had doubled my income and doubled my client base, because what the book did, it was like a magical lead generation tool. I had now clients coming and chasing after me instead of me always having to do the chasing, because what it did was it positioned me as an expert. It elevated and up-leveled my branding. So people perceived me as a thought leader in my space. And I was able to stand out from the crowd from all the rest of the advisors that were doing the same thing. And quite literally, it changed the course of my life. And I loved it so much that I decided I would love to help other entrepreneurs achieve these same results by using this amazing tool, which is writing and publishing a book and then using it to grow your business.
I love that. And so, that's a good thing that we can start off with in positioning ourselves as the expert. So many people out there, whatever they're doing in their industry, they kind of have that lack of confidence. That's the one thing that kind of keeps them from taking the leap to being a writer, because they're like, well, I don't know. I don't feel like I am, quote unquote, the expert. So what do you say to them to kind of get them started on this road?
That is actually an amazing question. And what my book coach said to me was that you aren't the expert before you write the book. You're the expert because you write the book. So all you need to be is one or two steps ahead of somebody
Mm.
that you're trying to help. So if you're an expert in whatever area it is you are, if you're, or if you're working in, say, the fitness space, or you're working in nutrition, or you are somebody in IT or a web designer, you are already helping people with the skills that you have. And what by putting it in a book does is it just elevates that positioning for you. And you have a message to share. You have skills to share. You do amazing things for your clients and you help them achieve transformational results. So if you are doing that for your clients already, then trust me, you are the expert and the book will solidify that in the minds of your prospects and your clients.
I love that. And so for people right here who are listening, but they feel like, I'm in this space where I don't know what to write a book about. It's gotten to be where it's everyday routine, the things that they do that they don't really recognize the value. So, what would be the first step that you would tell them to do in order to begin that transition to actually writing what it is that they are
Right. That's a great
doing for
question
their
too.
clients?
So, because a lot of times some of the initial questions and things that I get are that people feel overwhelmed. They don't know where to start and how to even get this off of the ground. So I actually have a signature 5-step program that I help people through that process. But in a nutshell, I'm going to give you the 5 steps right now. So I call it my 5 P's of writing
Okay.
and publishing a book. So the first P is to plan. So before you even start writing, you need to know who you are trying to attract into your business. So who is that perfect client that you're looking for? Because this will determine the course of where your book is going to go. And it'll help determine that title and that subtitle that are going to jump off the page at your perfect prospect. So you need to get clarity on who it is that you're trying to talk to so that you can get clarity with your messaging. And once you have that organized, we move to step 2, which
Mm.
is to promote. And a lot of people think, what? I'm going to start promoting right away. And my answer to those people is yes, you want to start to create that buzz. So I can tell you as an example, when I was putting my second book into place, which is Write and Grow Rich, how to use a book to supersize your brand, your business, and your bank account. I hadn't written a single word before. I was out and about in all of my networking events, positioning myself as the author. So I would literally introduce myself as, hi, my name is Kim, and I'm the author of the upcoming book, Write and Grow Rich. So once you have your title and your subtitle, you can start promoting right away, which starts to
Mm.
create the buzz. Step number 3 is actually where the rubber meets the road and we start writing. It's the produce phase. And this is the phase that people get a little bit nervous about. They think they're maybe not a good writer and they're not sure what they're going to be able to do or how to pull it off. And I've got some really great tips and tricks and techniques that actually can pull it out of your head in as little as 10 days. But most people take between 60 and 90 days to be able to get their manuscript and have it ready. And then, which leads us to the 4th P, which is the publish phase. So this is all about logistics. It's about formatting your manuscript, having it edited by somebody, and getting it up onto Amazon so you're ready to sell. And then the fun and the final and the 5th step is the profit step. And this is where I show people how to use that book literally as the gateway or the funnel into their business so they can make a whole bunch of money and have a whole bunch of fun doing it.
That is awesome. And, so we are going to just dive right to the profit because I know that's what a lot of people are thinking, especially now. You've got unemployment, people changing industries, or, they've been home and haven't really made the same money that they were used to because, things are virtual. So when we go to creating a funnel from a book, what are maybe 1 or 2 things that people should begin to implement in order for that to
That's a great
be
question.
profitable
And
for them?
some people get bogged down in the whole idea of, there's going to be all sorts of technology involved and landing pages and this and that. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to have all of that figured out before you can start implementing a funnel into your business using a book. We've all seen, probably if you've been online and you're not living under a rock, you'll have seen this in your news feed, that whole free plus shipping book funnel where you offer a copy of your book, you get somebody to pay the shipping and handling,
Mm.
and you ship off a book. And you can do this either with a an actual paperback copy of your book using Amazon Print on Demand. You can do this by just sending somebody a PDF or an ebook version of your book. But either way, and you don't even have to have a fancy landing page if you're not there yet. I will tell people, email me and I'll give you a copy of my book. Or I have it as a link on my LinkedIn and some of my other social media platforms. So you can get started without being bogged down with all the tech. And it's a really great way to start building your list. So it's a great list builder to which you can start providing lots of value to that list and start nurturing them down the pathway to your actual product or service that you sell. So when we talk about profit, it's not about writing a book so you can sell, $15 books. It's about writing a book so you can sell your program or your service on the back end. The book is the gateway to that bigger profit center, which is your coaching program or your course or your service offering. This is the power of the book, is that you get people to take that next step with you and move them down that funnel to nurture them into a paying client.
That is so good. And so for a lot of these people who, I know some people may be a little intimidated because they're like, well, what program do I attach it to? They're thinking, well, I'm just a coach. I just help people when they need me. So what advice would you give them to kind of begin to organize their ways that they provide services for their clients?
Well, if you are a coach and you're working with people to bring them through whatever it is your step-by-step process is to help them achieve whatever results they're looking for, this is what you're doing. You're kind of using your book to document your process, but you're talking to customers about and your prospects about the results they're going to achieve. So if we used, for an example, like a health and fitness type of coach. So the health and fitness coach might write a book that is something to the effect of, how to get a bikini body in time for summer. So you're selling somebody that dream that they want, which is that, or you could do it related to look great in your, what's that guy on TV that did the 10-pound boot camp for getting brides into their wedding dress. So you talk about that result that somebody's excited to achieve, which is feeling confident in their new body, being able to put a bathing suit on in the summer and feeling awesome about that, putting on their wedding dress so they look beautiful and feel awesome walking down the aisle towards their husband. Whatever that transformational result that you help them achieve, that's what you want to sell the book for. And then you're bringing them down into your program about how you help them do that. So you help them with their nutrition plan and what they're going to do for exercise and all of those amazing things that you do. But nobody wants the book on how to eat your way to whatever, or, people don't want here's how you go on a diet. I mean, we all know the magic trick to losing weight is move more, eat less. But it's the result and the excitement of what they're going after that's what's going to sell them. And then you bring them into it's the whole concept of sell them what they want and then give them what they need to achieve the result.
Yeah. And so you bring up a good topic about, the ways that we craft that message, so, we're looking at where we're headed more so than the road that we have to travel to get there. When it comes to, it's going to be eating right and everything, but it's, we're focusing on the outcome and the results more so than
that is key, because humans buy based on emotion and then they back up their decision based on facts. So you want to target that emotion, the clarity of the message, and helping people get that result. Just like you said, we're focusing on the result they're looking for. That's how you bring them in the door. And then once they're in your environment and in your community, you know that you're going to give them all the tools they need to achieve that result. So, you bring them into your community and provide them with all the tools and the resources and the support that they need to get that amazing result that they're looking for.
That is so awesome. Now, so for just to give us a little bit of background about what was it that happened with you switching your industries and things like that? This before you got this first book out, what was the mindset shift that took place for you to just say, you know what, I need to write a book, or what was it that happened for this beginning, somewhat of an empire that you created for yourself?
Well, my TSN turning point of the game, like I like to call it, was a big one. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was 43 years old. And I don't know if anyone ever feels like, maybe you're not as far ahead in your life as you thought you were going to be. Like, if you can relate to that, that's how I was feeling. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 43 years old. And I thought to myself, man, if I'm about to kick it right now, I have not done nearly the things in my life that I wanted to, and nor do I believe that I could do. And it was a big eye opener for me. Now, your eye opener doesn't need to be cancer, but I'm sure there are a lot of people going through, even coronavirus right now, thinking to themselves, wow, I'm not as far ahead as I wanted to be, or wow, I didn't have my finances in order as well as I could have, so that I didn't get affected by this. So whatever the reason you might be thinking that it's time to make a change, that was my big game changer. But I knew that if I made it through cancer, I was no longer going to sit on the sidelines of the game of life. I was getting in the game, and I was going to start to play, and play large. And so that was kind of where my shift happened. I wrote the book, then my whole business changed. And then I realized there was a reason I probably didn't have a really as amazing of a business as I wanted to have. And that was because I hated the business I was in. So what cancer, right? And then what cancer also taught me was that life is too short to do things you're not loving to do. And so that was it. I made the big shift number 2, and I went all in on helping other people achieve better success in their business by using better tools.
That is, I love that. And, so as you're making this decision and you're thinking about, what you want to do, a lot of people are at that place now. And, it's like you've lived your life a certain way. You have this experience, life altering. And how do you make the transition to ask for help and just explore something totally different? Because a lot of people are at that space now, and they're just like, how do you get the confidence? Or, they just believe that it's weak if you're asking for help. So what was it that happened for you to make that transition?
I'm a firm believer that if you don't have enough belief yet, you can borrow that from other people. You need to surround yourself with people who've done the work before you. So the route I decided to take, and I have a rule when I'm teaching people or training, is that you don't need to believe a word I say. I only can come from my own perspective. So what I chose to do was I embarked on a journey of personal development. So I went to one of those 3-day courses. Mine was called the Millionaire Mind Intensive, but it's not unlike, a Tony Robbins event, or a Mel Robbins, or a Marie Forleo, any kind of a big personal development event you could go to. This is what I did. I went to a 3-day event. And then at the end of that event, I bought into their personal development program that they offered at the end of that 3-day event. And I went on a journey, and I learned from coaches and mentors and people that were, bringing positivity to the world. And I just immersed myself in that. And it was a huge, big game changer, because I believe all of your results start right from within inside of you. And if you want to change, if you want to have a change, you need to make a change inside.
I love that. Now, so what is it that you do now to kind of maintain that? Because this definitely, right now, we've got a big shift. It's like you're on lockdown, priorities are kind of forced on you, whether you want them to be or not, with certain things, and just shifts within our daily routines. So what do you do to kind of keep you in that positive
That is a great question, Lachelle, because we met within that positive space. So I love the fact that I still have control over the things that get put into my brain and the people that I surround myself with.
Mm-hmm.
So I've chosen certain things, like I just don't turn on the news. I don't believe the news serves
Mm-hmm.
me anything that helps me keep a positive mindset. So I've banished news
Mm-hmm.
from my home, and I take a really
Mm-hmm.
tight knit approach to what I allow into my space. So we met on the Team Referral Network.
Mm-hmm.
That is a group of positive, amazing people, and that's who I choose to surround myself with. I am still very, very connected to my personal development group. In fact, we have a meeting every Monday morning, so I get to start my week off on a positive note. So I think being very protective
Mm-hmm.
of what you let into your space is key, especially in times where there are challenges and there are problems. Because, as entrepreneurs, we are paid to solve problems. So the question that I ask
Mm-hmm.
is, are there more or less problems in the world today?
Right.
Yes.
I love that. So this is just awesome. I mean, these nuggets of information just make it so practical for people, and that's the thing that I really enjoy about having different guests, because a lot of people hear the stuff, but then when it comes to implementing it and having a plan of action, it's like, oh, that was a good thing that they talked about, but not putting anything into practice. So, what does the future hold for you? So you've got book 2 done, right? How many books do you have altogether?
So I'm officially I'm twice published. So my first book, obviously, I'm not
Okay.
working in the finance space anymore. It's still a great book,
Mhm.
but I am not using it anymore to attract finance clients. So my second book, Write and Grow Rich, is where, of course, I speak to people about how they can use that book to create a marketing tool or asset for their business that they can use to attract new customers.
Mhm.
And I've got two that are going to be published relatively soon in that series. So it's called my Grow Rich series. The first book, obviously, Write
Oh.
and Grow Rich. I'm in the process of creating my second book in that series called Speak and Grow Rich, which is basically how to use
Mhm.
that book as well to get more speaking engagements, to do things like I'm doing today on your show, Lachelle. It's how do you
Mhm.
position yourself as a thought leader so you can be a guest on other people's platforms. So if you've ever wanted to speak or train from a stage, becoming a published author is a really great tool to do that. And in Speak and Grow Rich, I tell you exactly the step-by-step method to go and get yourself on other people's platforms using free media and publicity and podcasting and the like. And then for those that are,
That is so awesome.
yeah, that one's it's super fun. I love doing it. I do it myself. So I believe, the teacher first learns how to do it themselves and then they go and teach others. So that's what I love to do in my
Right.
business. And for people that are kind of, maybe they're sitting in a job that they don't like, or maybe they got downsized or completely eliminated during the coronavirus, and they're thinking to themselves, when this is over, I don't really want to go back to work. I also have a program where I can teach you how to extract your expertise out of your brain, if you will, and turn it into a coaching or a training program that you could be able to share your gifts with the world and create an income of your own using the methods that I'm going to be teaching in my Train and Grow Rich program. So that's what's on the horizon for
Oh,
me.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
hmm
So now give everybody the best way to get a hold of you.
So the best way to get a hold of me is to find me on social media. So you can find me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube under my name, Kimberley. There's an E in there that sometimes people miss. And my last name is Day. And you can find me on social media under my name or the handle at the real Kim Day. is also how you can find me on social media. That is the best way. And I do have
Mm-hmm.
a 10-step guide to writing and publishing your very own business building book. It's even less of a guide than it is a workbook. It's 20 pages of exercises that takes you through that planning phase that we talked about earlier. And if you follow that guide and that workbook and do all the exercises, you could quite literally have your very own manuscript at the end of it if you do the work. And I'm happy to provide that as a gift to any of your listeners, Lachelle, and they can get that by,
Oh,
yeah, they can get that by,
that would be
they can get that
awesome.
by emailing me at kim@kimberleyday.com.
Okay. All right. Well, we really appreciate the insight and all the action items that helps people to kind of get started on this path. Asking themselves the right question and knowing how to forge ahead is half the battle. So, well, I really appreciate your insight. So, at this time, are there any final words that you would like to share with the audience?
I think that, for me, it's all about, especially in these kind of crazy times, being able to shift your mindset. And instead of looking at things like obstacles, think about them as opportunities. How could you serve more people
Mm-hmm.
instead of, if you've lost your job, thinking about yourself as a victim? Think about how you can be the victor over these circumstances. And I always like to look at
Mm-hmm.
problems as possibilities for change, possibilities for a new beginning. And if you can start shifting some of that in your mind and take action to doing something better for yourself, and obviously, I think writing a book is an awesome thing. But whatever it is that you decide to do, whether it's writing a book, or starting a new business, or getting out there and exercising, or just doing something positive in your life, then taking that step towards something better is always a great thing to do.
So true. I totally agree. And, just being around the right people, because sometimes, we have these moments where we're not in the best space. But, it's when you're around the right people that kind of keep you be like, hey, Kim, now come on now. You can have a day, but it's time to get back in business, because we do have those moments. We're all human.
Yeah, the community you surround
So I love
yourself
that.
with is key, Lachelle. And we both know that, which is why we're, involved in some really great communities, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for all your insight and really excited that we connected. And I'm looking forward to us collaborating again in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'll see you again next Tuesday at our team referral meeting.
Absolutely. Okay. You have a good one.
Thanks,
Okay.
Lachelle.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. I really enjoy providing content that inspires and challenges us to be a better version of ourselves. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, please email me at info@lachelleatkins.com. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, or my YouTube channel. If there was something in this episode that resonated with you, it probably will resonate with someone else. So please share it. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. But those aha moments, those moments of really getting something and changing your perspective are very, very pivotal in having people change the trajectory of their lives. And so being able to share insightful information so that other people can grow is the easiest thing that we can do as we pay it forward. So again, I want to thank you all for listening. And if you have time, write out a review. Go to iTunes, Anchor, wherever you can find this podcast on any of those platforms, and write a review about what impact this episode had on you, what you learned, or whatever. Any feedback is great because it just helps me to understand what content is really beneficial for those that are listening. So again, I want to thank you all for your support and taking the time to spend some time with me and my guests. And I wish you a wonderful day. Thanks for listening.